Well, that's right. Thank you. Better. Howdy, people. Would seem the live stream setup is slightly different, so apologies if I'm all looking confused. Hey doing, Rob? Yeah, Wolf, how you doing, buddy? How's my video stream coming in through? Is it looking shit like normal Australian internet, or is it actually not too bad? Let me have a look. Let's see if I can find the live stream. You'll have to excuse me not being organized. This is all very different. All right. Just excuse me. I will put a link up. Back again. Okay. Apologies, guys. A bit all unorganized here. Right. So I was going to have a little bit of a talk about things that have happened to me recently, and then happy to answer questions, just hang out, and lots of stuff, and where I am with doing various things and so forth. Yeah, just answer some of your questions and leave it out there. So sort of no question will be unturned and so forth, blah, blah, blah. So DeForest, we're sorry to hear you left right. You're going to join ethics now. Yeah, back in Australia. Yes, terrible latency. I'll be interested to know if it's any better today. The internet doesn't seem to be too bad at the moment. So I guess just a quick explanation, and for those people who are not aware, I have left, right, various reasons for doing that, and I'm not going to get into all the politics because I don't want to get in the situation with the whole steel and right thing. That was just fucking stupid. It's better to just keep it all private and so forth. I will give my reasons for leaving in a very politically correct sense, I hope, and leave it at that. So yeah, I've been with Rotorite now since the beginning, but more recently, over the last year or so, been disagreeing a lot with management of Rotorite, how the company's run, and so forth. Um, and yeah, that's been a little bit of a struggle, in also in terms of employment within Rotor Riot and so forth, and not agreeing with certain things and making things a lot harder. And then, yeah, there's a reason why you didn't see much of me in Rotor Riot for those kinds of reasons. And those disagreements got worse and worse. And of course, it's probably no secret that I've been disagreeing with the whole Rotor Riot Facebook page and kind of embarrassed at the drama that is. That unfolds there daily. So I haven't been part of the Rotorite Facebook for a very long time, and just wanted to get away from that. And yeah, just there's just one thing led to another where I just first of all, I don't think Rotor Riot is going in the direction that I think it originally had intended on going, and I don't think it represents me, and I don't agree with a lot of the business decisions. In my mind, Rotor Riot is sort of turned into a bit more of um, a sales pitch at times, and it's not being produced as real as what it was. Like in the beginning, it was what you saw on camera was kind of what happened off camera, and I don't believe that's the case anymore. And I mean, that's okay if that's the way other people want to run it, but that's not the way that I wish it to be. So I've got a little bit of a problem with that. There's no right or wrong here. It's just something that I disagree with, and there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes that people don't see, that I've been disagreeing with, just having some issues with. So that's one reason why you've seen me on there a lot less in the last year. And I kind of got to the point where if I don't if I don't feel part of the team, and I don't like the way that the company's going, and I don't like the way that the company is representing itself, and I'm a face of Rotor Riot, then there's no point in me being there. So yeah, the just through a lot of disagreements, and at the end of the day, I've got to work somewhere. I've got to make some money somewhere, and I've made more money through the reverb sales than I have with my entire career in Rotor Riot. So at some point in time, I've got to I've got to go. Okay, how are we going to pay bills here? So it's all very well to be tramping around the world and doing crazy stuff, but as I've spoken to you guys beforehand, um, yeah, the whole traveling thing is great on the outside, but it's got its downsides, and yeah, I can't keep on sort of just doing that crazy stuff, sort of living week to week, and living off jet lag and all those kinds of things. So I made that decision to get out to sort of save my own mental health, I guess, and realize that there's other areas that I need to concentrate on actually making money, because my biggest problem with the industry as a whole is how it's slowed down, and there is still money there, but the whole industry is saturated with so many people there trying to make a money, or trying to make money, make a business or whatever, that it's just turned into a mad scramble of stabbing in the back and shitty business practices and stuff like that. Uh, and I came into this industry with it from a job that I fucking hated, and I wanted to do things the right way. If I guess a lot of these decisions have been conflicting with my morals, so I had to make that decision, and that doesn't make other people wrong. It just doesn't go with what I want, and all of the fighting and the bullshit and the politics that goes with what is supposed to be a hobby, combined with the fact that you're really not making any money, is just too much. I couldn't do it anymore. And when I say fighting in politics, I'm just not talking about within Red or Right. I'm talking about within the whole community and stuff, and all these other companies that have just got this sort of seem to have this death wish for the industry. So yeah, it slowly got to a point for me where I started disliking flying. I I just didn't want to fly, and I actually haven't flown for fun at all this year. I've flown a small number of times, but not very often, and every single time it's been for a purpose or for a reason outside of, hey, I want to go and have fun and fly. And ever since getting back to America, I literally have dumped my FPV stuff in a corner. I haven't even looked at it. I don't even know whether my batteries are charged or discharged or whatever. I just don't care. And I've realized that I need to distance myself from the flying and a lot of things. I mean, you never know what's going to happen. You never know whether or not, like tomorrow, I might I need to go out and fly, or it may never happen. But yeah, I need to distance myself from that, and I need to get a grip with what I'm passionate about. And that's what's always driven me within quads, and it's just not really quads at the moment. So I need to have a little bit of a break from that side. And it's certainly been helpful that I've had all my friends around me, like the FPV friends that I've got back here at home, which were friends before all of this craziness started. And yeah, it's just been good to hang around them. And so what's next for me? I'm not giving up quads. I'm still here. I just know that I just won't fly as often. That doesn't work. I need to wait until I actually want to fly again, and not push the issue. I'm still flying, but in a commercial sense. So I've been started working with a commercial company to do various things within the commercial drone industry, not just flying, and that's been quite interesting. It's a bit of a hike to get involved in that. I'm certainly not going to get rich, but I mean, hey, at least I'm getting paid for this, so that's something at least. And I'm sort of working my way through there, so that'll give me some skills in the commercial industry for the long run, no matter what I do. And it's not affecting my hatred. I don't want to say hatred. Hatred is the wrong word. My lack of passion for the hobbyist side, and there's no politics. There's politics everywhere, but there's no bullshit in the commercial sector. You turn up with a decent, expensive rig, and someone's going to pay you a decent amount of money, and there's no tight asses, and people like it. They're a lot more above board than what the hobbyist industry, and I think the hobbyist industry needs to have a large and long look at itself if it wants to continue on. Someone said I should join ethics. I'd rather rot in fucking hell. Ethics is run by Steel, and Steel has the lowest form of morals, I think, of anyone within the industry that I've come across. I really don't want to have anything to do with that, and I'm sure that Trappy doesn't really want to have much to do with me as well. I really don't want to get inside of that, but I will say that as far as the industry imploding in on itself, I know that Trappy's been very vocal about like Rotor Riot ruining the hobby and people copying him and all that sort of stuff. I'll put it really fucking bluntly. this hobby is imploding in on itself because people like Trappy are trying to divide the community. When you've got people that says if you're with them, you're not allowed to be with me. That never goes well. Like, I refuse to sell product to you, or I refuse to associate with you. And you look at how many businesses Trappy's been out there and done that. You can say whether you like Trappy or not, but this whole bullshit of him doing that is just that's dividing people is a surefire way to get people to argue. And all that bullshit is why I've piped up at him, because I'm sick and tired of his backhand bullshit. But enough of Trappy. I don't really care anymore. Yeah, let's all be friends. Let's go out and fly. I think people are finally starting to realize, and we've got to get over the hump, that this is not the big gold mine that people thought it was. I never thought it was a gold mine, but it was a way for me to possibly make a future in this. And if I can't come to a simple agreement with Chad Kappa and the other guys in Rotor Riot, then I need to move along and let them do their thing. And that's what I'm doing. Just know that this is not a decision taken lightly. Yeah. When was it? Is it 2 or 3 years ago? I can't remember. Yeah, about 3 years ago. Getting on 2.5. I don't know. I quit my job of 18 years, and it was working in an oil factory. Like, I don't have a university degree. I don't have a trade or anything like that. I just worked in an oil factory, nothing special. And I did that job for 18 years, fucking hated it. And I did it because I had a young family. Yeah, just made ends meet. And this whole FPV thing for me was kind of like my midlife crisis. Get out there and just do something, take a risk, because I'd never taken a risk before. But I did that, taking a risk, knowing that I don't really have much else. And so when I looked at it and go, I don't think I can do this anymore. That's like, well, what else do I do? And it's kind of like starting from scratch. And I don't want to get into my personal life, but I've had to make some big sacrifices and stop some things in life that I love to sort of stop all this. So it hasn't been an easy decision, but you got to do what you think is right. So I'm back at home, and I've been enjoying not traveling. I'm really, like, I enjoy going to different countries. I enjoy meeting people, but the traveling and the living in planes and trains and hotel rooms and it's not all it's cracked up to be, especially if you're doing it for free 99% of the time. I've sort of been worn thin on that and had to give up a lot. So I always find it funny when people will go out there and say, well, look at Chad, he's living the high life. Why the fuck should he complain? And I laugh and I go, if only you fucking knew. Or all these people that say, oh, he's sold out. I stopped myself from receiving a reasonable amount of money because I wanted to do the right thing, because I didn't want to sell out. And I always laugh when people accuse me of selling out. And I look at so many other pilots out there, and they're free to make up their own mind what they want to do. But I've seen so many pilots just jump at any form of money to do whatever they want, to put their name on any product or whatever, whether they like it or not. And that's not something I'm prepared to do. If that's something that they're prepared to do, that's great. But I want to be honest in this industry. And it's, yeah, everyone's just starting to fight over crap and scraps. And the passion that I had for it and the hobby that I enjoyed. It was a hobby first, and if I could make a living because I was passionate about my hobby, then great. But I won't be involved in the politics and the bullshitting and the infighting, because um, it's got me to a point where I don't enjoy flying. And it was very interesting. I think the probably what really what helped me along my way was I actually went out flying with Carlos Chapu. Had a long talk with him, and about flying and about his passion for it and all that sort of stuff. Found that I was feeling very similar to him, but this was sort of like my full-time career that I wasn't getting paid for. So I was getting all of the negatives without all the positives, and just seemed stupid. Just seems stupid, that doing this can rob you of the fun. And like, people do this as a getaway, get away from things, and it was no longer a getaway for me. So I need to get that back again. So yeah, let's have a little bit of a look and see what people are saying. Someone said about me making my videos not public, private, or whatever you want to call them, unlisted. I did that a while ago because I literally was so sick of the bullshit that was going on in all these forums that I didn't want to share with my passion with a group that as a whole I was a bit embarrassed to be a part of. And I know a lot of people out there say, "Oh, just do it for the fun. I don't care about views. I don't care about money." Well, this is a way for me to prove that I don't care about the views or the money or the subscribers. I never have given a shit. I make videos that I'm passionate about. And I post them for me. If other people watch them, then great. But I don't care whether people see them or not. It's quite touching when people say that they're sad that they don't have them to watch them. But I don't know. It was my little sort of standard way of making a point. And I was going to I was going to put them all public again. And the kind of thing that stopped me was I actually got I have to talk to them yet, but I got an email from CASA, and I'm in trouble for some of my videos, like the removing oneself from the equation video. That's apparently dangerous flying, what I did in there, and the regulation. I'm sick and tired of having to justify myself to the regulators all around the world. So I'll talk to them, find out what's going on. But I'm just like, it's not worth it. It's just not worth it to try and share this shit. That you're just trying to do something where you're passionate about, that you want to help make people happy, that you're not being fucking dangerous, and you get hate from people. You get people accusing you of selling out. You get people accusing you of getting rich off stuff, which you're fucking not, and you get regulators trying to fine you for doing stuff which is not fucking dangerous. And I don't know. I'm kind of over all of the bullshit, and yeah. So someone that no, I don't want to go there. Interesting question. The Droning Preacher. Interesting name. Do you regret giving this venture a try? Would you still make the same choice to do this again? Was it worth it? I don't regret anything. Everything that you do makes you you, whether it's the right decision or the wrong decision that makes you that unique person that you are. Don't regret decisions. But if you make a bad decision, try and learn from it. That's the way to do it. Going off and joining Rotor Riot was some of the coolest shit that I've done, and has taught me a lot about myself. And I've learned to respect myself a lot more and stand up for myself. And I've learned a lot of things, what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. So I don't regret any of that for a second. And I'm certainly not going anywhere. I'm just not part of Rotor Riot. I just need a break. I still fly drones commercially, and we'll see where things go from there. Yeah, but don't live life with regrets. And I'm not. Yeah, I'm giving that wonderful bit of advice. But when I learn to perfect that, I'll let you know. Everyone has regrets. Chris Quad. How on earth did Cassius see the removing someone's from equation is dangerous? Look, the regulators have a lot of stupid fucking rules. And there is, as I've always said, there's a big difference between dangerous and breaking rules. And here in Australia, pretty much every single time you take off with FPV, unless you're not following really stringent, stupid fucking rules, you're actually breaking the rules. So every time anyone uploads a video here in Australia, to a certain degree, is potentially breaking the rules. So the more known you are, the more likely people are going to complain to CASA just to be an asshole, and the more likely you are to get in trouble. Shit happens. One of these days, all this shit might fucking boil down. At this point in time, I don't really care anymore. So, yo, Chad, what do you have that's good right now? I'm back at home, and I'm closer to my two boys. For people who don't know, and a lot of people don't, I've got an 8-year-old and a now 15-year-old, and so I get to see them a lot more often, which is good. And just trying to make a new life, trying to do something different. Is there still a future for freestyle? I don't know. I don't know if I'm the right one to answer that question. Um, I personally look at freestyle, and to me it's like skateboarding, and people might disagree with this, but skateboarding started and people did like the ollie and flips, and I'm not a skateboarder, okay? So please take all this with a grain of salt. But I watch skateboarding now versus 10, 20 years ago, and it essentially looks the same to me. It's the same tricks, which are just slightly mixed up. They're different, but they're kind of the same. And that to me is kind of like, well, that's kind of boring. And that's where we're getting now with quads, where we've kind of done everything. Everyone's going, what's the next trick? Well, you can only do a variation on a flip for so long before you can't do anything new. And yeah, okay, there's always variations, but it's very uninspiring to me now, and you kind of seen it all. And there's only so many times you can see a quad flying through an abandoned building before you're like, really? Can we do something different? I'm kind of over this. And long range was the next thing, but I mean, long range is always going to be a little bit more specialized. And once again, how many times do you need to go down a hill like a mountain before you've seen it all? What is useful in this is not necessarily freestyle, but to me is the commercial side of things, like getting rather than going, look at me, I'm so awesome, using your rather than just flipping around. And you can use a little bit of freestyle in there to sort of exemplify that. And like removing oneself from the equation, that was kind of one of the things that I was trying to do, is to like look at this wonderful location and getting away from it. It's like telling a story and trying to show something beautiful rather than just trying to impress people. So I don't know. I I'm bored of freestyle, and I'm been bored of racing for a very long time because it's the same but different. Um, but who knows? Something might happen. Only we will know. Quadbot FPV said FPV will be illegal within 60 months guaranteed. No, it won't. Well, even if they make it illegal, it'll never stop, because something like that, it's kind of like saying that marijuana is illegal. People are still going to fucking do it. There's still a way around of doing it. The downside to it is a lot of us want to share stuff on Facebook. We want to show this stuff, so that if you do that kind of thing, then they got a way of catching you out. The only way to get around that is to make a secret YouTube channel and try and piss people off that way. But I mean, that'll be the way that it'll go. If they make FPV illegal, then they'll just have secret FPV YouTube channels where people will go, "Fuck you, regulators. We're going to do it anyway." Lance D said, "Do you still keep in touch with the original Rotor Riot pilots?" The only people from Rotor Riot that I keep in touch with is Tommy and Carlos. Got huge respect for those two guys. Carlos is kind of the ultimate soul pilot. He to me, he's a lot like me, but he always had a different profession to do his thing, and so he didn't have to get into the industry like I kind of felt I needed to. And then there's Tommy. I mean, what can I say about Tommy? Tommy is like, it doesn't matter what happens in Rotor Riot. Tommy's always going to be Tommy, and mad respect for that guy, because no matter what, he manages to be real and to be honest. And that's a hard thing to do in this industry, and make a living out of it. So I got a lot of time for Tommy, and it was really good to catch up with. I went to the quad camp over in Florida, and flew over there from LA to Florida, and then drove in a car with Tommy. So I got to spend like a full day with him alone and catch up on sort of stuff. And yeah, got a lot of time for that guy. He's a seriously cool cat. Deserves a lot more respect than what he gets. I think the smartest people of Rotor Riot were destined to end it. It follows the same arc as any startup. Now, as the B team is full in effect and is a legit, no nonsense corp now. Yeah, I guess I agree with some of the things there. It's very much changed direction. To me, it's a lot more. It's an advertising for their sales to a degree, not always, but yeah, it just it's not for me. What would you like to see the hobby do right now to save itself? It's kind of all of these people that were only in it for the money are slowly dying out, and that needs to go away. I think that a lot of this brand loyalty needs to fucking stop. And to a degree, a lot of that brand loyalty has stopped. I see the majority of the brand loyalty and the problems in the way that TBS conducts business and the way that TBS gets its fanboys. That's where I see a lot of the problem, and and bickering and sort of stuff. And I mean, if all the TBS drama would stay in the TBS lounge and the Rotor Riot drama would stay in the Rotor Riot lounge, that'd be great. But it doesn't. The best way, honestly, the best way to fix this hobby: turn off fucking Facebook, get off the social media crap, and go fly. Because you don't see this shit face to face. You just don't. Chris Quad FPV. In my experience, I love FPV as something different to my everyday life. I think I'd get sick of it if I did it every single day. That's what hobbies are for, escapism. Exactly. Yeah, you always got to be careful when you go and make something your job that it doesn't become too much of a job and you lose the passion for it, lots of stuff. And very much being aware of that. It's more the politics and not getting along. There's some. I don't want to be the whinger. I really don't. But it just when it comes to taking a big step, giving up your life in one country and then just disappearing and not knowing where your future is in another country, in another country, another country, another country, in a new industry where it's pretty full on, and it's taxing, and there's so many things there that just compounded on one another, which really affected it, and yeah, such is life. You said that you were more interested in commercial drone operations. Now, what is the most exciting potential use of drones you see on the horizon in the commercial world? I don't know. I've never really thought about what is the most exciting. It's the simple fact that there is so many jobs out there. You think about anything that is simpler, faster, cheaper, or safer to do with a drone versus a full-size manned aircraft or a person, there's going to be a job there, and it all comes down to the imagination. If full HD makes it into goggles with zero latency, would that bring back the joy you originally had for FPV flying? No. Lack of HD has nothing to do with the passion that I have for flying. I don't think we even need high definition. I think what we've got is good, and plus, you're going to be waiting a long time before you get proper HD in FPV stuff. I think if people knew the technologies and knew the hurdles involved, don't hold your breath. What happened between me and Steel? I've spoken about it enough. I don't want to talk about it anymore. You'll have two sides. You'll have the Steel fanboys who call me a prick, and then you'll have people who like my side of the story and call him a prick. That's fine. I mean, I don't even know how he's going or anything like that. I don't really care. My father always said to me, if it's shit, don't touch it. So I just distance myself. Have you ever met Just70? I never get tired of his videos. Justin Hawaii trip with him. Been down to Victoria, met him down there. Super cool dude. Same level as Carlos. Soul flyer every day of the week. People are asking about between me and Steele. Simply put, the guy is motivated by money and only money and fame. I'm not motivated by money and fame. I'm motivated by my morals and my passion. And when that's fine if other people are like that, but when his motivation for money and fame comes at a detriment to me and goes and affects me physically, that's when I start having a problem with it. And that's why I stopped talking to him, because as far as he's concerned, a couple of $100 is worth more than a friendship. And if that's the case, then I don't want to have a friendship. And if that's also the case, then I don't want to have a working relationship with that person either. Any cool motors you tested? I want an affordable one. Anything that's on the market at the moment. They're all good motors. It's hard to find a crap motor these days. What's your opinion on Stu and Trev? I've spoken to Stu a fair bit. I've never spoken to Trev. I do want to get down to Victoria and catch up with those. I've never met them in person. Do like Stu as a guy. He's a really nice guy. Got a lot of time for him. Don't always agree with some of the stuff that he's trying to push on his YouTube channel, but I mean he can push whatever he wants. I've got a lot of respect for the guy. I'd love to go meet him and catch up flying with him. Do I like gardening? Not really. Look, at the end of the day, you either like steel or you don't. I would only put something out there. This is the bit of advice I go out there, and I find it very interesting. I could never understand this, where I've got people that come up to you and want to get your signature and say, "Oh, you're my idol," and so forth. And it's very humbling, but I could never understand it. People see you for 5 minutes on a YouTube channel or meet you for 5 minutes in person and then think that they know you. And then when it turns out that you have a different opinion, or you're not like the rest of your life than the rest of the person that you are, which, by the way, is 99% of you, it might be different to that person. These people a lot of the times get shocked. So when it comes to like politics or religion or something like that, like I've got my Facebook page, and it's my personal Facebook page. And if you're a friend on there, you're going to get what I talk about. People are like, you don't believe in God or whatever, and they get all offended because I don't agree with their way of life or something like that. And they're like, well, you're well known, so you're not allowed to have an opinion anymore. And I'm like, what? Why the fuck am I not allowed to have an opinion? And then when you kind of argue that point, they go, well, I used to idolize you, man. What fucking changed? And I'm like, nothing changed. I've always been this person. The fact is that you idolized like this small snippet. So be careful who you idolize if you want them to be perfect, because the people that you see on TV, the celebrities, doesn't matter whether it's an FPV or big movie star celebrities, they're not the person that you think that they are. You don't know anything about them. So if you want to idolize them for what they've done and only what they've done, and then appreciate that there are parts in their life that you may strongly disagree with in terms of way you live your life or decisions that they make. And don't get upset that that person, when you find out that person is different. So I've always been very open about that, about my beliefs in life, and I'm not going to throw it in your face. But I mean, if we're talking about something, then I'll talk about it. And all this being politically correct because you're a celebrity and well, fuck that. I'd rather you know the full bit about me, and if you don't like that, then you don't like that. But I think it's kind of shallow that you idolize someone and then, oh well, there's a certain topic that's completely unrelated to the way you idolize them that no, you don't like them. But at the same time, if you're kind of like that, and a lot of people are, don't think that the person that you idolize is 100% in the way that you are, because I guarantee you, and I know quite intimately, a lot of well-known pilots that and pilots like Steele, which are he does a very good job of being politically correct online. But when you get to know him and the shit that he says when the camera's not recording and the public's not there, you go, oh wow, that's a bit fucking different. So be careful who you idolize, and realize that they're different fucking people. That's why I've never understood this. Like, until you get into a situation where you have a lot of people idolizing you, I don't think you fully understand the situation, and it's kind of strange. So yeah. What's up with Chad Kappa's religiosity? He's creepy as fuck. Chad Kappa is religious. I'm not exactly sure. I'm Christian, I guess. I don't know. But that goes to show you that I lived in his house for I don't know, probably a total of 6 months. I still don't even know what his religion is. So I think from what my understanding is, he's very religious. But so long, I don't give a shit whether you're religious or not. So long as you don't shove it down the throats of other people and try to tell them that they're wrong, that's great. That's the wonders of living in a multicultural type society with different people. Live and let live. Believe what you want to believe, and don't push it on other people. And Chad was very kind not to push his beliefs on me at all, which I am very appreciative. So I wouldn't call him creepy as fuck in that area. He's someone asks him about his religion, he'll tell you, but that's not being creepy. That's him answering a question. And I will always appreciate people who are like that. The disagreements I have with Chad are in other areas. It's got nothing to do with religion. You're going to visit Bruce and the gang in New Zealand. I'd love to at some stage. I really need an excuse. I know my friend Mark really wants to go over there, and we've said sometime this year we'll go for a fly over there. Love to catch up with Bruce. Got a lot of time for the guy. He's like the OG of all this sort of stuff. So just to go for a trip and an excuse to go and to meet the guy would be great. Jelly Man said, I want Chad to answer me. What was your question? Do Australians actually put shrimp on the barbie? No, and we don't call them shrimp, we call them prawns. Well, some people put prawns on the barbie. I'm not a seafood person, but yeah, if we do put them on there, we call them prawns, not shrimp. That was put as part of an ad to sell to you Yanks, so you'd come over to Australia, but you guys don't call them prawns, you call them shrimp. So we had to do something, and somehow it stuck. Yeah, that's a good Chris Quad FPV. Australia is very tolerant of other cultures as a whole. We're not perfect, but we're very tolerant. But what we won't tolerate is people trying to take over. So if I had to put a religion on our country, it would be Christian. So we're a Christian country as a whole, but we're not like, say, America, where Christianity seems to rule in so many areas. You want to have your religion, that's great, but keep it to yourself. In Australia as a whole, we believe that Christianity belongs in the houses of those people who believe it, and in the churches where they want to do it. As a whole, and it's not perfect, as a whole, keep it out of fucking politics, and don't make it mandatory in schools. Give people the choice. And that's what we like that. We tolerate, but we don't allow people to fucking take over. Let people make the choice. Wow, we're getting into all the political topics here. Happy to answer this, but I'm sure you guys don't want to hang around and listen to my views on politics and shit like that. It's what I hate. I hate people talking about that kind of shit because it just ends up in arguments. Especially like in this kind of setting, it's very one-sided. So you'll hear my comments more than you'll hear anyone else's. And on Facebook, people just get very in your face about it and start yelling and arguing and all that sort of stuff and complaining. You want to talk about it? Talk about it in person. This is not really the place to talk about. What's my favorite new prop? I still use the V1S 5x4.5. There's really not much. Seriously, guys, motors, props, ESCs, flight controllers, front. There's not much new out there. There's nothing. We've plateaued on so much shit that you might get something like, for example, is there a prop that is better than the V1S out there? In some areas, probably yes. But the thing is, with anything that you design, if you make an improvement somewhere, you're going to take away performance somewhere else. It's a matter of balancing the performance to suit your needs. So the V1S prop is a light prop. It's a responsive prop. It's an efficient prop. And it flies the way that I want. There's a prop out there that I can get that's got more power. There's a prop out there that's stiffer. There's a prop out there that's more durable. But they all have downsides to it. So this whole, is there a better blah? It doesn't work that way. It's not that simple. Did you see the Rotor Riot vid about 3D motors? No, I didn't. Don't really care. I'll put this out here. 3D flying is kind of nice, and the stuff that Zoe does is kind of cool, but it's very finite. The biggest downside to it is it takes a while to change the direction of the motor. So you're going to have a bit of lag in there in the response of what you want to do on the throttle. That's the first big problem. The second big problem is that you cannot design a propeller with a proper airfoil on there. It becomes a flat paddle. So all of a sudden, and on top of that, the shape of the wing set, the blade itself, because it goes both ways, you have to have something that works in both directions. Because of that, you end up with an extremely inefficient blade, so you lose a lot of thrust. On top of that, now when you're changing directions, that's extremely high load on the whole setup, including the battery, which for a normal quad setup is already being tasked very highly. We're right. Even if you're on like a basic freestyle setup, you're already getting what the max of what you can get. So you've got lag, you've got lack of thrust, and you've got to put a bigger battery on there to handle the bigger loads. So you end up with something that's even heavier. So now it doesn't even respond as easily, and there's more weight, so there's even less thrust. So you don't have that response, that snappiness, and that performance that you have in a regular quad. Now, if you're fine with removing that, then 3D will work fine. But yeah. And yeah, I haven't seen the episode. Guys, if you really want, I'll go and watch it. But let me guess, it'll be an Outrunner 3-phase style motor that's got some slight. So I'm guessing the internals are essentially the same. So the performance is not going to change much. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Okay, so they're censored brushless motors. Yeah, if that's what they are, that's nothing new. And there's no massive leap in performance. What is the time estimate for the new Reverb PDB? Been potentially waiting for any hints on some of the secret features. I can't really talk about it. I don't know the release date. I do know that it got it held back because of memory issues in the F0 chip. So they put an F3 chip on there. So they've had to redo the hardware. I don't use OSD, so I haven't really been fully involved in the testing of it. I've been sort of getting updates on it. I would hope really soon, but I don't want to put a date on there because I know Sean can't put that out there. But I would hope really soon. The cool thing about that PDB, and by the way, I don't make money on this PDB. There's other guys that are working on it, so call me a sellout or whatever you want. But one of the things I really wanted to design about that PDB was that it will fit on other frames. So most other freestyle frames within reason, it should fit in there without sticking out the side. So it gives you this sort of all-in-one PDB that you can use with KISS and so forth. And by the way, it will also support Betaflight and so forth as well. And it does some pretty cool features. But yeah, soon, hopefully. Yes, you don't need a bigger battery if you shake it ahead of time. I guess I might make some of the videos public again. We'll see how we go. Cruise FPV, thanks for the kind words, mate. There's a lot of work that went into the reverb, a lot of small little changes and tweaks. That it's funny because I was thinking, oh, it's just another, like these are the people that had a quick look at a picture online and they don't see any new hype things on there. If you want hype, you want something totally different for the sake of it, then don't get the reverb because it's not for you. But for those people who appreciate those changes, thank you. Do I pinch? When I fly mode 1, I use thumbs. When I fly mode 2, I pinch. Cheers, guys. When will the Reverb PDB come out? Just spoke about that before. Kind of soon, hopefully. Diz FPV, yeah, I see Mark every sort of week or 2 weeks or so. What is the highest number of lipos you've ripped in a day? I don't know, 40, 50, something like that. When will the 64-bit FCs come out? Why do you care? The cutouts and the reverb arms are they're basically lightning holes, so that it means that when you use steel hardware, it ends up, wait. And yeah, I know that it is possible to break there, but it's going to break somewhere, and it's not a common place to break. And with the testing that I've done, like I've gone up 200 feet, gone sideways, and then landed sideways on hard clay to see where the arms are going to break. And I don't see it as a problem. Yes, you can break it there. It's not the common failure point. So that says something about that. And it also depends on how how you hit something and how the impact affects the arm or whatever it's hitting. At the end of the day, you can't make something completely indestructible. You've got to put in the weak points where you want them, and that's really hard to do. So yeah, it's an interesting one. I personally don't think it's an issue, and if it was, then you'd be seeing lots of them break there. And I've seen pictures of people breaking every part of the frame. So it's a matter of looking at where they're breaking, and then looking at the frequency of where they break in the customer's hands. And I'm not seeing a problem there. Yeah, I haven't seen anyone do 200 mile an hour yet. That's kind of cool if they've done that. Oh, look at here's BMS Web. Hey, Darren, Paul, and Thomas. Yeah, you actually bring up an interesting point, which is something that I enjoy making videos. It's something that I've always loved doing, and I made videos before I got into FPV. So I will be getting back into gliding. It's sort of a long process and requires a bit more money, and I need to be able to afford to do it once those stuff. But this is one of the reasons that I'm looking at doing. Um, um, I've seen a lot of you guys out there have shown interest in what in the gliding side of my previous life, and I intend to get back into that. So one of the things that I'm looking at doing is when I get back into gliding, documenting me get into gliding. So not just make flight videos, which I enjoy doing as well, but also making sort of instructional videos, or like first of all, a video sort of following me and how I get back into the gliding and getting my license back, and possibly also because my eldest son Deacon wants to learn to fly, following his journey, going solo in a glider. And then after that, I've got plenty of ideas for videos explaining how gliding works and all the different nuances of gliding and technical challenges and things to do there. So what I plan to do is to monetize that, and while I'm not doing so much quad flying, to set up my Patreon account for that, which will help to finance the gliding to a certain degree. It's not going to finance all of it, but it'll certainly help it out because it's expensive for me, but also having to pay for my son. So hopefully some of you guys will enjoy that, and it's just something that I'm keen on doing and trying anyway, whether people watch it or not. Dizzy FPV said, "Is it okay to ask after Kathleen?" I don't understand. Sorry, man. Uh, Paul, happy to bring you up in a glider. You just got to get up here. I'm currently wearing pants, unfortunately. Did I notice anything between Kiss V1 and Kiss V2? Yes, a noticeable amount. Yeah, still got my quads handy. They're all there. Asking after someone is a pretty standard expression in English. Oh, okay. I've never actually heard that before, so that's a new one. Um, yeah, she's doing good. She's in LA. I'm not much sure what else I can say. What am I up to these days? Just trying to build a new life. Do you get tired of answering FPV questions, same ones over and over? So long as they're not too technical to answer, I don't mind. New people are coming into it all the time. What's the options on the new life? Well, right now I'm just concentrating on the commercial sector of flying drones and seeing where that goes. I need to start working out somewhere new to live um, because I've been traveling for the last couple of years. Um, it, I I've got a block of land which I was going to build a house on, and like I can't afford to build a house now. But I kind of there was no point in me getting serious about looking for somewhere to live because I didn't know whether I was going to be living in this country or how long I was going to be living abroad. So I've had this little flat that I've been renting at a pretty cheap price, and so I need to sort of work out how to get out. So yeah, got some big life decisions to make, and yeah, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that I don't think a lot of people see. And more recently, I've had to have wondering whether they're the right or the wrong decisions. Um, it gets hard. What is my secret sauce? Steele has his mustache. Tommy has his sick beats. Noah has the cinematic flair. I don't know. Someone else should be able to answer that. I don't know what my catchphrase is. If you want to ask me what I think my secret, I'm real. I won't sell out. I'm real. But apparently that's not worth anything in the industry. So that's okay. Do you think you're getting back into posting FPV vids? Yeah, it's always been. If I'm passionate about it, I'll post it. If I'm not, I'm not. What's your opinion of those quad subscription box things like quad box and sort of stuff? Look, if it tickles your fancy, then go for it. Me personally, I have no fucking idea what you guys see in that. You go and pay your $50 or whatever it is to get, well, I'm going to get something. And you're going to get something cheap. 90% of the time, it's something that you don't want. Now, this community is all about saving money. Why would you go and wait for something to hopefully get it cheap when it's complete surprise and most of the time it's not what you want, when you could get that $50 and go and buy what you actually wanted? I'm not into those surprise things. So if you are, great. But yeah. Have I ever flown in Canberra? Yeah, I've flown in Canberra once. Why not go back to your old job, oil field? I worked in an oil factory. There was no skill in that, no trade. I worked in a warehouse. I would rather die than go back to that job. I couldn't go back to that job anyway because it was a very specific job that would only be available at that company, which I would never go back to. And I have no want to do that ever again. Do you go gliding from Caboolture? I know the guys up at Caboolture. I haven't seen them in years. I have flown from Caboolture a couple of times, but my home club, which I've done all of my flying in the past, is Darling Down Soaring Club, which is inland, where Caboolture is on the coast. Tom to get so when you do day commercial flying, you have no idea exactly what real estate inspection, blah 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 blah. I really don't want to go into the specifics of it, but there's a lot more to commercial stuff other than just flying. There's doing instruction, running licensing courses, there's maintenance and so forth. So what I'm getting into is a number of things, not just flying. And what I'd be more interested in, more the bigger commercial stuff rather than like everyone's doing real estate and shit like that. I don't want to get into that. There's more specific stuff like surveying or uh, various things like that, which to me are a bit more interesting and tailored. Droning Preacher, thanks, man. Get out there. Thanks for wasting time with me. What's better, Kiss V2 or Race Flight? Which is your favorite flavor? I prefer the feel of Kiss V2. Um, but there'll be plenty of people that'll disagree with that. It all depends on which camp you come from and what you prefer. There's so many variations to it. Beta Flight, Kiss, Race Flight, they all fly consistently and well. They all have problems. They all have their haters. They all have their fanboys. Choose one that suits you. Give me a pitch for Kiss V1 on your reverb. I don't have any reverbs with Kiss V1 on them, sorry. I have no idea what fundooling is. That's a word that I came up with. Have you ever noticed any of your quads pulling back hard after a loop with the new KISS SC V2? No. I hate the KISS GUI. It's so complicated. Are you kidding me? Have you looked at Betaflight recently? Like the 10 million pages and then the CLI? Nyeh. Hey, Don Noelle. Australia is a really lovely country. Am I running 8K on my PID loops? No, I'm running 1K. There's no reason to go any higher on KISS. When ZenGFBV, thanks for the kind words. When I meant surveying, I didn't mean that specifically. I just meant like not doing real estate, which is what every Tom, Dick, and Harry does. You'll have to ask Stingy. Have I tried Butterflight? No, I haven't tried Butterflight, and I have no intention of trying Butterflight. I'm just like, seriously, guys, you guys have got to stop jumping on the fucking hype trains. Pilot, that's an on. One of my early flight controllers after KK2 was a APM 2.5. Am I working on any new products? No. Not at this stage. I'm not sure what will be next or if there is something next. There's certain things that I don't want to work on, like the V1S prop. I had some input in on that, but really didn't make much money off that. I think I made like $1,200 total off the V1S prop. So I don't really want to waste my time on something like that, but I think it's as good as I want it to be anyway. Things like motors and props and that sort of stuff, particularly something like motors. You make a motor, you make it a good motor. The problem is that you spend 6 months of your own time not getting paid developing a motor. Then you release it. You go through the hype phase where everyone's excited about it and people will buy it, so you get a reasonable amount of cash that's coming back in from the profits. Then 2 months later, someone else brings out another motor, which is no different to yours, sometimes even exactly the same, but a different color. Let's call it red. And they come out with some sort of hype reason why it's better, and everyone jumps on that hype train. And then before you know it, your motor's not even selling, so you don't make any money. Or in my case, the people making the motor go to a V1.1, and you no longer make profits from it whatsoever. So the amount of work that you put into it is not worth it. That's one of the reasons why I made the reverb. It took me about 8 months worth of work to put it in there. I've got to make a shitload of money before I get an 8 months worth of pay out of it. But at least I know with someone like Impulse RC, they're not a hype brand. They don't bring out multitudes of frames. I know that in a year or so's time, that frame will still be selling and I will still be profiting from it, especially if you go and make a good quality episode with Backbone Tricopter. Yeah, you can't make frames for the price that China sells them at retail. It just doesn't work that way. And yeah, sure, that a lot of them are crappier quality, but a lot of people go, "Oh, look, I'm a home guy, and I cut my own frames out. I can make frames for $20." You start making it as a business, you'll find out there's a lot more costs. And you're exactly right, Tom. When you look at the actual cost, you just can't. Unless you've got something new to offer or you're an established company, it's very hard to get into the industry. Any plans for long range flying wing projects? Um, Not really. No. I was testing the Ghost system for Immersion RC, still got that, and I do a bit of testing. Not sure where that is with Immersion RC. You'd have to ask them. Leo, uh, the problem with if you modify the alien is that then it may not be compatible with spare. They've got to carry two different types of alien parts. The reverb started. We started talking about modifying the alien and went to a whole new frame. That's why we're so. That's kind of where the reverb went. I'm not sure what they're going to be doing in the alien in the future. It's still a good selling product. Still a good frame. So you'll see. Any tips for people who can't afford all the expensive gear stuff? You don't have to get all the expensive gear stuff to get into it. It's not a requirement, and you can pick and choose. I couldn't afford goggles when I first got into it, so I flew line of sight. And then when I got into that, when I got my first set of goggles, they were base SDs. They didn't those basic ones that don't even have a receiver, and I had to build a ground station, and I built things up. So get what you can afford, and sort of take your time with it. Look, guys, I came on here to do a bit of a live feed and chat and lots of stuff, and I enjoy chatting with you guys. But I have some things I'm dealing with, so I should probably go because they keep on popping up in my head, and I'll start doing some more live feeds when I'm in a better emotional state. Thanks, guys.